Hello students, now in previous video we have seen the unique factorization theorem. Now in this video let us see some definition and the examples on them. So the definition is of canonical form. The definition says let n greater than 1 be any integer then the prime factorization of n in the form n equal to p1 raised to alpha 1, p2 raised to alpha 2, p3 raised to alpha 3 and so on up to pr raised to alpha r, where alpha I greater equal 0 and p1, p2 and so on up to pr are distinct primes. And this representation of the integer is called canonical form of n. Now for example we can write 100. Suppose the first example, 100 is equal to 2 into 2 into 5 into 5. Then canonical form factorization of 100 is, what does that? That the 100 equal to 2 square into 5 square. This. Then the second one, canonical form of 235 is, what does that? It is 235 is equal to 5 into 47. Now 5 and 47 both are prime, so this is just raised to 1. Now here let us see some remarks on this definition. Suppose first one is what? Any integer n greater than 1 can be written as n equal to 2 raised to alpha 1, 3 raised to alpha 2, 5 raised to alpha 3 and so on. Now for example 10 is equal to 2 into 5, that can be written as 2 raised to 1, 3 raised to 0 into 5 raised to 1. 3 raised to 0 into 5 raised to 1. Again 20 can be written as 2 into 2 into 5, that is 2 square into 5, that is 2 square into 3 raised to 0 into 5 raised to 1. Now the second note is that let A and B, let me write that second note above, here, let us write down that one here. Let A and B be any positive integers suppose A is equal to the product of p raised to alpha and b is product of p raised to beta, then the important thing is that then the GCD of A and B is what? The product of p raised to minimum of alpha beta, and the LCM of A and B is what? The product of p raised to maximum of alpha beta. Here we should do curly bracket. Maximum of alpha beta, maximum among them and minimum among them. Those things we have to take here and we have to take their product. Now let us take an example on this second note. Suppose I have an example using canonical form, using canonical factorization. Find GCD and LCM of the following. Now suppose the first one is 190. Now solution of this one, let A is equal to 90 and B is equal to suppose 100. So now therefore A is equal to 90, you know this is 2 into 45, that is 2 into 5 into 9, that is 2 raised to 1. This 9 can be written as 3 square. So let me write that before, into 5 raised to 1. Similarly, here this B equal to what? 100. 100 can be written as 2 into 50, that is 2 into 2 into 25. So it is 2 square into 5 square. So it is 2 square into 3 raised to 0 into 5 raised to 2. As such we can write. Now we have to determine the GCD and LCM of them. So now the GCD of first we find the GCD. Using this formula we have to determine. Therefore the GCD of A and B, that is GCD of 90 and 100 is same as GCD of 100 and 90, both are same. Now this is what? Product of p raised to minimum of alpha and beta. Now here 2 raised to 1, here 2 raised to 2. So what is minimum among them? Minimum is 2 raised to 1. So 2 raised to 1. Now 3 square and 3 raised to 0. So minimum among them is 3 raised to 0. 5 raised to 1, 5 raised to 2. What is minimum? Is 5 raised to 1. So what is the product? This is 10. So GCD will be 10. And LCM is what? A and B. LCM of A and B is what? LCM of 90 and 100. So that will be maximum. Now 2 raised to 1, 2 raised to 2. So we will take 2 raised to 2. Now 3 raised to 2, 3 raised to 0. So 3 raised to 2 into 5 raised to 1, 5 raised to 2. So 5 raised to 2. So what does that? This is 25, 25 into 9 or 25 into 4. So that will be 100 into 9 will be 900. This is 900. Fine. This will be the LCM here. Now let us solve some more examples on this so that it will be very clear to you. Now let me take the second example for the same one. Suppose the second pair is that 150 and 250. Fine. Now again solution. What with us? 150. 150 can be 2 into 75. That is 2 into 3 into 25. Fine. That is 2 into 3 into 5 square. So 2 raised to 1, 3 raised to 1 into 5 raised to 2. Again 250. That is what? 2 into 125. So it will be 2 raised to 1 into 5 cube. Okay. That is 2 raised to 1, 3 raised to 0 into 5 raised to 3. Therefore, the GCD of 150 and 250 is what? Now minimum of these one, both are same, so this is as it is. Minimum of these two is what? 3 raised to 0, and minimum of these one will be what? 5 square. So what is the GCD here? 50. And LCM. LCM is what? Maximum, product of the maximum one we have to take. Now this is again same. Now here maximum is what? 3 raised to 1. Now here what? Which one? This index we have to see. So this is 5 cube. So 5 cube is 125. 125 into 6. So that will be 750. Now the next one, suppose the pair is 108 and 250. So solution, let us take this one again. Suppose 108. What about 108? We can write it is 2 into 54. So it will be 2 into 2 into 27. So that will be 2 square into 3 cube. Now 5 is not there, so let me write 5 raised to 0. Again 250. Now just we have solved for 250. So it will be 2 into 125. That is 2 raised to 1 into 5 cube. And that is same as 2 raised to 1 into 3 raised to 0 into 5 cube. Therefore, the GCD 108, 250. The GCD will be, what is minimum among 2 square and 2 raised to 1 is 2 raised to 1, 3 raised to 0, again 5 raised to 0. So what is the GCD is 2, and LCM 108 and 250. What is the LCM? Is 2 square is here. Among these one 3 cube, and among these one 5 cube. And this product is 13,500. So this is the LCM here. So as such, using that node from canonical form, we can easily determine the GCD as well as the LCM of two integers. Now the next one, let us see. Let us write one remark, and later on we have to go for the theorem. So let us write one remark first. Remark: to check whether the given integer n is prime or composite. N is prime or composite. It is enough to check whether there is a prime factor, such a prime factor which is less than square root n, less equal square root n, which divides n. To check the given integer is n is prime or composite, it is enough to check whether there is a prime factor less equal square root n which divides n. Now let us see the theorem. The number of primes is infinite or there is, or we can say there is no end to the sequence of primes. There is no end to the sequence of primes that are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13 and so on. Fine. Now the proof of this one. Let us see the proof. Let P1, P2, so on up to Pr be the list of first R primes. Then consider n equal to 1 plus P1, P2, so on up to what? Pr. 1 plus this one. Product of these. Now call it as equation number 1. From this we can easily say, we can see that n is strictly greater than what? 1. Then clearly n is greater than 1. Fine. Now note that n is not divisible by any one of these pi's, P1, P2 and so on up to what? Pr. N is not divisible by any one of P1, P2 so on up to Pr. To show this, let us use the contradiction. Suppose P1 divides n. If P1 divides n, there exists K1 in Z, or let me take K in Z, such that n is equal to P1 into K. Fine. Therefore, this equation 1 becomes, how does this 1 implies? 1 will become P1K is equal to 1 plus P1, P2 and so on up to what? Pr. Now, this gives, let me take this one to this side, P1K minus P1, P2 so on up to Pr, that is equal to what? 1. So, this gives P1 into K minus P2, P3 and so on up to what? Pr, that is equal to what? 1. So, that is P1 divides 1, which is impossible. Which is not possible, as P is what? Prime. Pi's are, these are what? The primes. Because P1 is prime. This is why? Because P1 is prime. 1 will be a divisor of it. It won't be a divisor of 1. That's why this is not possible. Therefore, why does this happen? Because of this assumption. So, P1 doesn't divide n. P1 doesn't divide n. Similarly, Pi doesn't divide n for all I from 1, 2, so on up to what? R. Now, each Pi doesn't divide n. Now, as n is greater than 1, so by unique factorization theorem, what can we say? N can be written as a product of prime numbers. So, n will be suppose q1, q2, so on up to what? qk. Where these qi's are primes. Qi are what? Primes. Fine. Then clearly q1, q2 and so on up to qk. Clearly q1, q2 so on up to qk are distinct from these P1, P2 so on up to PR. From P1, P2 so on up to what? PR. These are distinct from these one. Now, if possible, if suppose any Qi will be equal to any Pj. For some Ij, then what happens? Then 1 plus, then what? If this is, then let me write that thing here. Then 1 plus P1, P2, so on up to what we have assumed? Pj equal to Qi. So somewhere here Pj minus 1, somewhere here Pj and Pj plus 1. Up to what? Up to PR. That is equal to, this is also n and this is also n. That is equal to Q1, Q2, so on up to Qi minus 1, Qi plus 1, so on up to what? Qk. It will be as such if this is the case. Now, here as these two are equal, so I can replace this Pj by what? Qi. So, this will give me 1 plus P1, P2, so on up to Pj minus 1 into Qi into Pj plus 1, so on up to what? PR is equal to Q1, Q2, so on up to Qi minus 1 into Qi plus 1, so on up to what? Qk. This will be as such. Now, this gives me 1 equal to, I will take this term on this right hand side. So, from these two terms we can take Qi common. So, let me take Qi common. Here what we get? Here Q1, Q2, so on up to Qi minus 1, again Qi plus 1, so on up to what? Qk, minus these one, but except Qi, as we have taken that one common. P1, P2, so on up to Pj minus 1, Pj plus 1, so on up to what? PR. It will be as such. So, what does this say? we have written 1 equal to qi times something. So that will be, that gives qi divides what? 1. But we know again these qi's are prime, so here this is not possible, which is impossible. I must write which is impossible, which is impossible, as qi is prime. qi is prime. But why does this occur? Because of this assumption. So this says pi's not equal to what? qj's for all I and j. These are not same. Therefore, what can we say? This says, or this shows that there exist more than r primes. Thus, there are infinitely many primes. Finally, I must write that thus q1, q2, so on up to qk are distinct primes from p1, p2, so on up to what? pr. This shows that there exist more than r primes. Thus, there are infinitely many primes. Now, let us see the next theorem. Primes are infinitely many. So next theorem is that there are arbitrary large gaps between any two primes. Arbitrary large gaps between any two primes. Fine. Now, the same statement can be written as, or for a given positive integer k, there exists k consecutive composite integers. Now, the proof of this, let us see the proof. Let k be any positive integer. Consider, let us consider the sequence. Consider the sequence of positive integers as k plus 1, factorial plus 2, k plus 1 factorial plus 3, k plus 1 factorial plus 4, and so on up to k plus 1 factorial plus k and k plus 1 factorial plus k plus 1. Suppose these many positive integers, k positive integers, same thing, for given positive integer k is given to us, so we will assume this. Fine. Now note that the above list contains, this list contains k consecutive positive integers, k consecutive positive integers. Now for any integer j, for any integer j less equal what? K. Suppose j is less equal k. K plus 1 factorial equal to what? 1 into 2 into 3 into so on up to what? J into j plus 1 and so on up to what? K plus 1. I am assuming j is less equal k, so j will occur somewhere here. Fine. So what does this say? This says this j divides k plus 1 factorial. J divides k plus 1 factorial. Now as we know, j divides k plus 1 factorial and every number divides itself. J divides itself. So what does this say? J divides k plus 1 factorial plus j also for all 2 less equal j less equal what? K. This will happen for every number. Fine. So from this what can we conclude? This j divides this number, means this number must be what? J is any proper divisor of this number. So we can say this number is what? A composite number. So k plus 1 factorial plus j be a composite number. The same thing we have to prove. There exists k consecutive composite integers. So if it is composite for any j and that j lies from 0 to k, so it will be composite for all. So the same list will be what? Composite. Is what? Composite number. Be a composite number, and we know the range of j for all 2 less equal j less equal what? K. Be a composite number for all 2 less equal j less equal what? K. Fine. Now this is with us here. So thus what can I say? Each integer of the above list, thus each integer of above list is composite. Thus each integer of above list is what? Composite. Thus if we choose a prime p less than k plus 1 factorial plus 2 and a prime q greater than k plus 1 factorial plus k plus 1, means if we choose a prime which is less than this first number and which is greater than this last one. Fine. If we choose such a primes, then there is a gap between them. There is arbitrary gap between then there are k numbers or the k number of consecutive composite integers between p and q. Here all these k integers are what? Composite. So they in between p and q, these k composite numbers are lies. K number of consecutive composite integers between p and q. Thus between any two primes, we cannot say this. What will be the gap in between them? Thus between any two primes, there are arbitrary large gaps. So this is the proof of this one. Now this is one of the important theorem. You should remember this. This is one of the important theorem here. Now let me write a remark from this. From this we can say between these are what? All these are what? The composite integers. And let me take an example on the same one. So let us write the remark first and the example we will take. So remark is that from the sequence this k plus 1 factorial plus 2, k plus 1 factorial plus 3 and so on, k plus 1 factorial plus k plus 1, we get k consecutive composite integers. Now let me take an example on this. For k is equal to 3, suppose 4 factorial plus 2, k is 3. So we have to assume, look at here, k plus 1 factorial plus 2, k plus 1 factorial plus 3, k plus 1 factorial plus k plus 1, this till this. So k up to k plus 1. So 4 factorial plus 2, 3 plus 1, so 4 factorial plus 2, again 4 factorial plus 3 and 4 factorial plus 4 will be here, as k plus 1 will become 4 here. Fine. Now what are these numbers? So 4 factorial is 24 plus 2, so it will be 26. This is what? 27 and this is 28. So are what? Are 3 consecutive composite integers. 3 consecutive composite integers. Fine. Now we have to go for the definition of perfect square. Again square free integer. Also we will see some examples on them, and one important remark to check whether the number is perfect square or the square free integer. Also we will see the test for divisibility. Actually you know the test for divisibility, but here again we will see them. So it will be a revision of you, and later on we have to go for Fermat number and Masini number. Okay, we will stop for this video here. Thank you.